Hello, my name is Harry Tambuatco. We have with us Dante Jimenez, the VACC founding chairman and president. Ladies and gentlemen, before we go through, yes, we're going to talk about the rehabilitation, where we're going and why and how. And of course, the new people that have just been appointed. Let's look at the situation this way. When you're a leader, you're the manager, you're the president, whoever you appoint around you does the service that you require. As strategic management will point, you identify what it is you want them to do. Nevertheless, they become responsible to you, just like the president is responsible to the people. When the president fails, everybody fails. When somebody under the president fails, it becomes the fault of not that person alone. It becomes the president's fault. Ganun po yan. When an employee fails, terminate him, get rid of him, replace, and ang tawag dyan, crisis management. Ikaw mismo, if you have to, you take over. Pero when they fail with consistency and you keep them on, the fault is the manager. Dante, let's go back to this. Just this week, before we go with your favorite topic, because after all, you just love former Senator Lacson, di ba? But before we go to Lacson, this Biason guy, the Rufy Biason in Customs, tinira na yan sa SONA. Tama nga naman, asama talaga ng performance. For 27 months, he's been in this position that he's been appointed to. He has never met his target, not once. And now he's involved with PDAF. Anong base mo kay Biason?
Well, first of all, I think, of course, it's the president's call. Dahil siya ang appointing power eh.
But
you see,
isn't there responsibility naman dapat?
Kaya nga, that's why, ang problema dito is, mukhang masyadong selective ang presidente. Mukhang is clinging on Biason, who, before, as you said, inano na sa
Tinira niya na sa SONA.
And then, eto na naman, lumabas na ang kanyang involvement sa PDAP.
Okay.
And
Napoles.
it's no less than the Department of Justice who has filed a complaint dyan sa ombudsman. And soon, dadalhin na yan sa Sandigan Bayan.
Pero ayaw pa mag-resign, ha?
Oh.
At ayaw tanggalin ni Presidente. Bakit?
Well, of course, let's compare. Ano yung mga actions taken niya before? Especially sa mga taong hindi niya binigyan ng pagkakataon. Like General Melad, doon sa Atimon. Remember, immediately tinanggal niya. Pinatanggal niya yun.
Yung nag-umpisa ito nga sa Pag-asa, si Prisco Nilo, di ba? Yung una
Tinanggal niya. Yung nasa Eastern Samar, yung hepero ng pulis, nagsabi lang na ito
10,000.
Ito lang naman ang estimate, mga 10,000.
Soria. Si Soria.
Tinanggal ka agad. I mean, these guys are just telling the truth.
Correct.
But look at this sa customs niya.
Sa Biason.
Si Commissioner Biason. Why is it that he's giving him so many chances when in fact nakikita na natin ngayon he will be facing a case at the Sandigan Bayan. So, meaning to say the president really clings to that KKK. Kung hindi ka kabarilan,
Kaklase.
kaibigan.
Kabarkada. But you know, there is something wrong there. As a president, there should be oversight and there should be responsibilities involved. Okay, presidente ka, you have the power, you have the authority. But when the person doesn't perform, dapat yan, he's not qualified. Di ba that's why we have what we call the Blue Ribbon Committee that requires appointments committee in the Senate. Di ba yan ang check and balance? Pag, alam ko, hindi pa pumapasa dyan hanggang ngayon, ha? Si De Lima.
Yes.
Si DSWD.
She's doing a good job.
DSWD.
They are doing good jobs.
Hindi pa rin, si Pahe, hindi pa rin ina-approve. But going back to Biason, so, you are distraught as well. Hindi maganda yung nangyayari kay Biason. Let's go to Lacson. Now, Lacson has been involved in a lot of crimes. In fact, his cases are going to be elevated soon, supposedly. The Corbito Dacer case is going to be elevated to the Supreme Court. It was just in the paper just today again. Coincidentally, di ba? And yet, inappoint siya ni Pinoy. Now, he's going to handle 40 billion pesos. This is going to be 2.5-year work. This guy is set. He's going to be handling a bigger budget than he was in the Senate. And he's going to be a really more powerful person. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, yes. Yun nga ang lumalabas. Wala na bang iba?
Parang wala eh. Baka akala ng presidente ko konti
na
na
bang iba?
It's a good question. It's a good question.
Except Lacson? Who is Lacson as a rehabilitation czar? What is his background? Engineer ba siya? Arkitekto ba siya?
Very good.
Ano ang background niya? Di ba sa pulis yan? Ang dami pang ang kaso sa pulis. Di ba? Ang dami mga questionable cases.
Ang dami.
Lawmaker yan, lawbreaker.
Lawbreaker.
Binigyan ng warrant of arrest, nagtago.
Nagtago,
Ang sinasabi,
14 months.
political harassment. Bobby the case yan. You see, the president really has no more control over himself. I'm sorry to say that. Mr. President, I think you have to look at yourself in the mirror, ask yourself, are you the same Noy Noy who was elected by majority of the Filipino people during the 2010 election? I'm pretty sure the answer is no. Because you're now surrounded by people and now nagdadagdag ka na naman ng mga taong questionable pa ang character, questionable pa integrity. Ano yung pinagmamalaki ng Lacson? Yung pidap niya? Oh, come on, illegal na nga yan eh. Unconstitutional nga yan. Doon ka tumama.
Doon ka
Doon
tumama.
ka tumama. Pero, you see, ano nangyari doon sa mga ibang mga kaso? Kuratong Baliling. Di ba, isn't it that you were being charged of where are the loot of the Kuratong Baliling? Yung mga
Nawala eh.
Nawala ba gayon?
Nawala yung pera.
Oh, you try to clean your mess. Ha?
So, ang parang sinasabi mo, ang presidente nawala sa kumpas na talaga. Parang ngayon naiiba na.
Nawawala na. Kaya kita mo, bagsak agad ang kanyang rating. Kanyang popularity, bagsak. Lalo na ngayon. Lalong bagsak.
Yung mga nakita mo, mga nakausap mo doon sa summer, umiikot kayo, sila ba tiwala pa rin sa presidente, tingin mo?
Sa tingin ko, sa sistema, wala na silang believe eh. They just receive na lang. They're not in their senses anymore, Harry. I'm sorry. Kawawa naman sila.
Okay. Let's go a little bit to the future. We're approaching 2016. We're going to have this is going to be a mad scramble. Ang tawag dito, karambola, 2016. Lacson is already out of the picture. Now that he's come on with a 40 billion peso budget for 2.5 years, pwede ba mag-resurrect yan at tumakbo ng presidente?
Precisely why he accepted maybe the position.
Lalim naman ay iniisip. So, we have Binay, we have Marcos, unless they discredit Marcos in time, they've already discredited Enrile, but he's over the hill, may edad na masyado.
Revilla.
Tinira na, si Revilla, yan, talagang meron yan, tsaka si Estrada, pero diniscredit niya na rin yung dalawa. They're about to be, if I'm not mistaken, their passport, and because pag nasampayan na sa Sandigan Bayan, walang bail yan, they're incarcerated. Wala magagawa sa loob ng preso yan. So, tingin mo nangyayari dito, this whole mess of why the president is maybe losing his influence, his power, or even his touch, is because of the politics that's playing. I don't know, does Marcos even stand a chance with the mess he's made in the Visayas? Parang hindi rin, di ba?
Well, I don't know about Rojas, but you see, all of them are the same sa akin. Kasi wala akong believe sa mga politiko natin eh. Because they're a product of a rotten political system.
Very
That
good.
is the truth about it. Come on, kaya nga nagkakaganito
Dynasty.
tayo. Dynasty, political dynasty. That's why we really have to come up already with an enabling law. And ginagawa ba naman Kongreso yan? Ayaw nila. Kasi sila tatamaan dyan eh. O pinahirapan ba nila taong bayan?
An advocacy came last week, Mad Against Dynasties, MAD, and they are filing a complaint, a mandamus to the Supreme Court to direct Congress to make an enabling law. Let's see where that's going. Now, before that gets going, where do you think it's going to go in 2016? Mukhang magulo pa rin. Marami tayong dynasty. Di ba? Nakikita mo yan. Itong issue, you have stated 5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, you have promoted federalism.
Yeah.
And you've always promoted the Bicol autonomy. You even have a booklet about it.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on that now?
Well,
Tuloy pa rin.
tuloy pa rin yun. In fact, come Saturday, our guest speaker during the 4th anniversary of the Bicol Autonomy Movement.
Fourth na, ha?
Fourth na. Is no less than the former Chief Justice Renato Puno, whom we have high respect.
Mataas integrity.
Justice Puno is one very
Chief
rare.
Justice.
Chief Justice Puno is just one rare person na nag-usap kami.
Pero may edad na po yan, 72 na.
Yeah, that's why. Nag-usap kami sincerely and he said wala siyang na sa mga politika.
Walang ambition.
Wala siyang intention, wala
Wala.
siyang motive. Doon ako bumilib kay Justice Puno.
Walang ambisyon.
Dahil ako, nangumpisal din ako sa kanya. Sabi ko sa kanya, Justice, hindi din ako papasok sa politika. Matagal na ako niyaya sa politika.
Ikaw, inaya kita. Ayaw mo eh.
Under the system, hindi pa pwede. Because isasama ka sa sistema. Isasama ka talaga sa hukay dito. But you see, let's look into this initiative, people's initiative that Justice Puno is now spearheading. And we in Bicol will support him on that. of course, we're still waiting for the DAP, whether that is constitutional or not. But you see, sabi nga na sa amin, Justice Puno, wait, hintayin natin lahat because marami pa dapat people's initiative. Like the political dynasty.
Bullet
It
dynasty.
is a law under our constitution, but still, can you
Ayaw.
expect Congress?
No, they won't.
They don't expect Congress to pass, even support it. Eh, kami sa Bicol Autonomy Movement, we support the abolition
Of the dynasty.
political dynasties, and we hope that with this move of Justice Puno, isasabay na natin niya. Kaya huwag po kayo mawawalan pa ng pag-asa. The people, if needed, must come up with their law.
Justice Puno believes, together with Carmen Pedrosa, when I interviewed them, that it is the people that need to be followed. And it's the people who have to discuss the issues, not necessarily the representatives. Which is why the People's Initiative for a charter change.
Yes.
Now, your proposal for Bicol to be an autonomous region, to be independent, I remember, if I remember right, you believe very strongly that the Bicol region can be quite independent on its own because you have all the resources. Because anong nangyayari, kayo pumupondo sa national government, kayo naiiwan na pobre.
You know what? Alam mo, Harry, ang latest ngayon, ito, para sa information mo kagad. We're now in a mess with regards to energy. May crisis.
May energy kulang na
crisis
kayo.
ngayon.
Wow.
Nasa amin ang geothermal, di ba?
Correct.
Nasabi nga sa'yo,
Oh.
we have 2 geothermals there. But these are managed by 2 powerful clans, like the Lopezes and the Aboites.
Wala na, patay
Yung
ka na.
Bachman at saka sa TV. Now, pumapasok kayo na sa Ramon Ang ng San Miguel. Yung mga, mga cooperatives doon, gusto nila i-privatize.
Nako.
Privatize cooperative, gusto nila i-privatize ulit. Lately, magkakaroon na ng turnover ang Aleco, the Albay Cooperative,
Okay.
which owes daw
4 billion.
4 billion. Oh my gosh.
Eh, kukunin na San Miguel
Kukunin
na
na
yan.
San Miguel. Kuno. Sila
Sa Albay.
mag-take over.
Correct,
Pero
correct.
hindi. Alam mo, latest ngayon, meron ngayong initiative for an increase of electricity in Albay. Kaya kayo mga
Times
taga...
3.
Kayo mga taga Albay, magising-gising tayo mga consumers. Now, Kasureco 3
Okay.
is now down in 8 days. Walang kuryente kami ron sa
Bakit humina yung planta? Hindi nag-ooperate?
hindi nag-operate, kinat nila.
Mismanagement.
Yes, kinat nila dahil
Baka-
marami daw hindi nagbabayad.
Oh, ang dami daw hindi nagbabayad. Totoo ba yan? Hindi naman. I don't think so.
Meron. Kaso who owns this establishments? Mga politiko.
Oh, halos.
Okay? Kaya pala gusto nila hawakan yung mga directors ng mga
Suarez,
ethos
di ba?
nila.
Politiko rin yan.
So there is a crisis now in Bicol with regards to kuryente. Ipa-privatize na lahat ng mga cooperatives na yun very soon. Hawakan ng 3 pamilya na yan, 3 grupo. The Lopezes, the Aboites, and the
Oh my God, it's the people versus the oligarchs.
Yan na.
Yun ang gera, hindi kasi walang
Now,
kuryente.
Bicolanos, sabi ko nga sa mga nagtatanong about the Bicol Autonomy, sabi na, dapat isama nyo yung political at saka cultural. Sabi ko, yes. Alam nyo ba, unfortunately, Bicolanos are really peace-loving people. Masyadong Kristiyano. Masyadong mababait. Kailangan ba maging salbahe ka para pakinggan ka at para magkaroon ka ng autonomiya katulad ng ginagawa ngayon sa Bangsamoro?
Sa ARN.
Kailangan mo ba ng struggle? Kailangan nyo ba na mamundok ang Dante Jimenez at iba pang mga kasamahan ko? Kailangan ba yun? Yan ang tanong para mapakinggan ka? I don't think so. I think the best way is really peaceful resolution again.
Let's
Kaya
talk,
kami,
yes.
we go for autonomy, meaning to say, we can manage our own money and our natural resources. Dalawang bagay lang naman yan Para when we manage our own money, then we can be audited.
And you have your own natural resources
And we have our natural
in Bicol.
resources. In Bicol. Ilang geothermal yan, ilang hydropower yan. We can make this energy maging income generating namin at ibenta namin sa mga regions na
Correct,
kasama
baliktad.
na mas mura. Hindi katulad na ginagawa ngayon nito mga 3 pamilyang ito, pinamamahal nila ang kuryente.
Pinahirapan kayo,
Pinahirapan.
Bicolano.
Kaya ang dami ngayon nagsasabi sa Bicol, over their dead body, will they ever succeed in doing so? Kasi ngayon galit na ang taong bayan doon. Pinahihirapan pa nila.
So, humihina ang negosyo at the same time.
Of course. Ganun ang mangyayari. Recently lang, nasa nasa Labwa. Brown out.
Brown
Nagkaroon kami ng, ng meeting ng eskwelahan namin. Pero the point here is, consumers are really suffering now. Imagine that. I talked with one guy. Sabi niya, sir, kami pinutulan 150 pesos ng utang ko. Pinutulan kami ng kasureko ko. Ng cooperative na yan. Tapos, isang establishment, 38 million ng utang. Nagbayad ng 5 million, tuloy-tuloy pa rin. Pero kasama na rin sa pinutulan kasi hindi sila nagbabayad. So, as this is, baga, sort of victimizing the whole.
Collateral damage.
Collateral damage ang problema.
Maraming nadadamay.
Maraming nadadamay sa kababayan at hindi lang yung taking advantage.
Can we blame the president's incompetence in managing government, and like for example, Bicol, and allowing the oligarchs to do what they're doing? Because after all, in the Forbes list, in the last 5-6 years, ang daming bilyonaryo na Pilipino na pumasok. Pero hindi ko nakikita yung pobre na umaangat sa kabuhayan nila.
And totoo yung nangyayari, the rich are becoming richer,
Disgustingly richer.
the poor are becoming more poorer.
Kawa naman.
Sinasabi mo, blame. Yes, I blame the president because he is the president of this republic.
Correct, correct. I read an article in the Economist that there are reasons why there is political unrest all over the world. There's civil war, and why the poor and inequality, even in New York. New York, sa Amerika na ito, the inequality of the rich versus the poor is widening and getting worse. In fact, the new mayor that they just voted in, Bill de Blasio, is trying to put this gap even closer rather than spread it, because Bloomberg, the past mayor, allowed the city to boom, tumaas ang GDP, tumaas ang income, tumaas lahat, maganda, pero ang problema, the widening gap between the rich and the poor is getting wider. And the poor stay poor, and the rich may dumadagdag, dumadami, but among themselves and their families, meaning the oligarchies.
Correct.
Now, we can blame this to the president. Yes, him being an hasindero.
Yes.
The problem is, are we getting better? Ikaw nakikita mo kasi parating, we're the second best performer next to China in the ASEAN, as you well know. In the ASEAN, we're number 1. Only China beat us by 0.08%. Sila 7.8% growth, tayo 7%. Tayo daw ang model, tiger economy. Pero bakit ang daming pobre? Galing ka lang sa Eastern Sama. How poor is poor, Dante?
Very, very poor.
Di ba? And yet, we are the example of the tiger economy. Is there something wrong here?
You know, all this paperwork, itong mga pinapakita ng statistics. Of course, I'm not an economist. How do you calculate everything? Ito po yung papel. But is it being felt by the poor, by the people?
That's the question.
It's not being felt.
Nakikita mo.
Nakikita yan. Ang dami dyan. Kaya ang dami, alam mo, kaya tayo magandang ang buhay natin. Kasi ang daming umaalis na Pilipino, pumupunta na abroad. These are the OFWs. We still cling to that industry.
24 billion
The
Dollars
OFW, the
yan.
funds that's coming
Pumapasok.
in. But look, the seafaring industry kami, kasi I mean shipping, nasa
shipping
seafaring
kayo,
kami. Look, ano nangyayari dito? Ang mga seafarers natin, are they being given fair
Alam ko,
treatment?
pinahirapan kayo sa mga permits. As of late, nababasa ko. Pinahirapan kayo. Ang dami yung permits kailangan kunin, which you cannot do in 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Pinahirapan. And yet, they are also FWs, the seafarers.
And,
Nauna pa nga yan sa OFW.
hindi lang yun, ha? Are they giving priority to those dito yung mga hostages?
Nasamantala. Ayun.
Sa mga Somalia, sa Nigeria, sa iba pa mga
Wala
lugar.
nga tulong.
Hindi
Wala.
nga nababalita yun eh. Pinababayaan ng gobyernong to.
Oo, correct,
See,
correct.
have you seen the Captain Phillips movie ni
Not
Tom
yet,
Hanks?
yes.
Ang ganda. Ganun.
Ganun ang nangyayari.
Ay, ganun. Siyempre, ang nangyayari dyan, hindi pa kinukuha ng mga ship owners yung barko, naka-hostage yung mga Pilipino. Ang dami pa. See?
Alam mo, I get so exasperated, I want to jump out of my seat and say, enough is enough. But we can't, because you and I are civilized, and we do not agree with the armed conflict. Okay. We want change, we are nation builders, and we believe in making the country better, not for us, because we're okay, but the poor who suffer on a daily basis. And yet we are frustrated because we have already identified where the rot is, and it's called our leadership, our congressmen, the governors, the whatever. And yet we are made to suffer the consequence of their action. Alam mo, can we blame the poor for voting these people?
Well, you see, the system calls for it. Eh. The electoral system is very, sabihin natin, patronage masyado ang politics.
Because of PDAP.
Because of money. Even in the last election ng barangay, in Catanduanes alone,
Barangay na lang yan, ha?
a vote is worth 1,000 pesos. Don't you know that, Harry?
No.
In
I read about it, but ganun
you read
talaga?
about it, that is true. 1,000 to 500 pesos. Well, what, is there money in barangays? Siguro kasi akala nila, yung PDAP at saka DAP, okay pa. Kaya susunod dito, yung DAP.
Wala na yan.
Paano kung wala na yung DAP? Wala na kasi yung PDAP eh. Paano kung wala na yung DAP? Ano pang gagawin nila?
But the president will have all this power to disburse. Imagine, as of latest count, 900 billion. One office.
Sa akin kasi, Harry, as long as idaan sa Kongreso, idaan
Okay,
sa
at least,
appropriation, magkaroon talagang real public hearing. Let
Line
the public
item.
participate. Line item.
Line item.
Identify, hindi na yung makikialam pati
Hindi lump sum,
mga congressman at saka hindi lump sum. Sa akin, okay na yun. Then, the COA can, isa pang point, we propose that COA should be exempted from this appropriations hearing.
I saw that the other day.
You saw that,
I agree with it.
Oh, yang ombudsman din, bigyan din ng ano
Automatic
talaga.
appropriation.
Automatic appropriations yan. That is where we support.
Para independent.
Para sabihin natin genuine independence.
Actually,
and cannot be cajoled.
Ganun din dapat ang judiciary.
Yes, even the Supreme Court.
Supreme Court.
Bigyan
hindi
sila.
pwede.
Total,
Bigyan sila.
inaayos natin. Kaya that's why, kayong mga Supreme Court, I'm sorry, pinag-PPIPA ko kayo, pero suporta pa rin ako sa inyo. Because ako personally, if you can, you will invite all people, all those who believes in that the last bastion of democracy is our judiciary. Please, act now with regards to the DAP. Make it unconstitutional, please, without, of course, being influenced by me or by the other groups who filed a petition on you, against this DAP. But definitely, it is unconstitutional.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're at the top of the hour and we're going to have to close. I told you I'd make this show exciting. Our guest is not only animated, extreme with passion, but you see the difference is he cares. Now, where's the integrity there? Since I've met him, I actually asked him to be a host here in GNN some 6 years ago, and he obliged for about 1 or 2 years, and then he started getting too busy with VACC. The passion has not gone away. If anything, it has climbed, it has soared. He's had a second lease on life to make himself more healthy, but he has negated all the other notions for celebrity status. I even asked him to run for the elections. No, he doesn't want. Nation building is what it's all about. Body politic is his advocacy, and what he wants to do is to help those who have less in life. Now, what do you and I do with people like this that we see? Because we read about Dante and VACC all the time in the newspapers. Ang tawag po dyan, critical thought. Tama. Tawag po dyan, educating ourselves. Tama. But then what else can we do? Alam mo, maybe like you, I too am getting frustrated. But one thing I do know, the brand called the president at this point has lost its integrity. Good night. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Harry.
You are what you watch.